Good day and you're welcome. You're now rocking with the best. We are back. The Rashad Grove Show is on the air. Throwback language for another episode. We thank you so much for rocking with us. Shout out to our executive producer, Brandy Lewis Grove. Hit her up at Briz Online 1982. And my boy, Phil, SP Methods at SP Methods, who's on the production on the intro and the outro. We are powered by Star Media Enterprises, and we're back on another Monday giving you the content that you need, you love, and you need to subscribe to. Shout out to everybody who has subscribed already. Added over 600 new subscribers, close to it in the last 2 weeks. So shout out to y'all. If you haven't, as the creators say, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. We're bringing you episodes on Mondays and a Friday interview series that we're dropping, doing new interviews and dropping some content from my archives over the years with the latest in sports, TV, film, politics, you name it, I got it for you. But today's episode, we're focusing on some major takeaways that you need to know if you're an NBA fan. The NBA season is in full swing. Even though I will be tuning in this week and watching March Madness, I may drop some March Madness content, especially with the women's college, which I follow pretty closely. But another great weekend in the NBA. A lot going down. Some breaking news dropped today from the NBA offices that we'll get into a little bit. But it's a lot happening. So let's get into it. Here's the one takeaway that we need to be delving into without question is that SGA, Shea Gilgeous Alexander, or as he's known in America, Shad Gilgeous Alexander, he accomplished another significant feat. He surpassed Wilt Chamberlain for the most consecutive games, scoring 20 points. On Sunday, he extended that streak to 128 games in the Thunder's 116-103 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Out of all the feats and streaks, this has to be near the top. For him to pass Wilt Chamberlain, and Wilt Chamberlain's streak was broken because he got ejected in the first quarter of the game, and then he came back the next game and wrote off like an 80-game streak. But for SGA, and we keep forgetting where SGA comes from, he wasn't highly touted. I saw a TikTok, he was picked like the 25th in his class. Like other players, so many different players in his high school class were picked above him. He wasn't that highly touted even when he got to Kentucky. People thought he was, even when he got to the Clippers, you could say he was going to be a really good player. But now he's entering into all-time great status. You heard it here first. If he wins this championship and he wins this MVP, if he wins another MVP of the finals, he's an all-time. We're gonna have to move some furniture. It's gonna be some furniture moving because we're gonna have him in a discussion as an all-time great. And I'm done with y'all with this foul baiting and all that. Yo, stop fouling him. Of course, he gets away with a little push off. So does Luka, so does James Harden, so did Kobe Bryant, so does LeBron James, so did Allen Iverson. All the great scorers in our era has gotten away with a little push off here and there. In fact, Jordan's most signature move of all time in the finals, how far did he push Byron Russell? We love that though. So I'm not here for all the hating on SGA, Jaylen Brown. Yo, you got to win to complain like that. You can't be losing to him and then saying, "Oh, it's unethical." I'm done with that talk. Stop fouling him. Stop reaching. You reach, he teaches. That's how it works. I was looking at some statistics and those who've ranked in the last 30 years. I looked at Harden in peak Houston Rocket form was averaging about 12 free throws a game. Shaq and Dwight Howard, because they wasn't the best free throw shooters, were in at the near the top, getting like 11 a game. Giannis is near the top. Joel Embiid in the modern era at like 9.5 a game is the leader of free throws attempted a game. And Shea's in that conversation. He's getting like 9.2 this season. In the last few years, he's been. You know why he's getting that? First of all, not only are they fouling, and not only does he get a favorable whistle because he should, and he handles the ball most of the time, but nobody talks about how he's shooting 60%, 20 feet and in. Nobody talks about that. In the one game against the Celtics, he only had 4 free throws. There's plenty of games he got no 30 points and didn't crack double-digit free throws. So we got to don't just be pushing narratives and saying things. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And Shea is in MVP form. I don't know what happened with that injury that he suffered, but he's more focused. He's zeroed in. Jalen Williams is still not there. And this is the second takeaway. Not only is Shea exerting his dominance, and the way how he got it was just the way he continued the streak, shooting over my boy Anthony Edwards and getting an and one. He was only 7 for 22. He didn't get a lot of free throws, as y'all be claiming. Last night, he didn't have his best game, and they still won by double digits. Jalen Williams wasn't playing. And the Thunder are in dominant form. Not only is SGA in MVP form, the Thunder are in dominant form. That's for sure. With that victory last night against the Timberwolves, they're now 53-15, 3.5 games above the Spurs. And what's killing me about their resurgence is it because I'm watching Jared McCain, who's averaging 12 points off the bench for the Thunder. You tell me he couldn't get 12 points off the bench with a depleted backcourt now that Maxi's injured with the Sixers? What a miscalculation. And the way they embraced him, I think he had 15 points last night. He already had a couple 25-point games. He slid right in there and is a perfect fit for that team, for that culture. And the Sixers might have committed one of the most under-recognized, under-the-radar, unless you're a Sixer fan, follies of the NBA season. And to watch him just thrive in OKC, he's going to listen. One thing about OKC, I love their philosophy. They can never have enough talent. Only teams that don't win can say, we sold him at a high price. Nah, man, you made a miscalculation. And the Thunder are dominating. Isaiah Hartenstein was back in the lineup, and I watched them play a suffocating defensive strategy against the Timberwolves. Nobody played good for them. Randall struggled. Edwards struggled. Rudy getting blocked by SGA. He's 7'3". I don't know how that happens. They had a struggle game. It was close. I was listening to it on the radio coming from Philly to Jersey. That when I got to the time I got to the crib, they were winning by double figures, and SGA wasn't even playing his best game. And I think that the experience of winning it last year and Coach Dagnall's coaching prowess and his willingness to trust the depth of the team, cats like Casey Wallace, Jay Williams, he's a fantastic center. Isaiah Joe. They have so many different kinds of players. And they're looking like the Thunder who was dominating earlier in the season. They're not going to break the wins record, but it's going to be hard to beat them. And it's going to be hard to beat them 4 out of 7 games in the series, especially with Shea, Shot Gilgeous-Alexander, if you will, looking like he's in MVP form. But the Thunder are not the only hot team in the West. Can the San Antonio Spurs make it to the Western Conference Finals this season? We're looking at Wemby. Wemby averaging like 24 and 11. I don't want to be a Wemby hater. I just don't think he's the greatest basketball player of all time yet. Let's get him a runway. Let's see how he reacts in the playoffs where he's got to face the same team 4 times. That's all I'm saying. But, dog, they rolling. They have listen, and Coach Johnson is really coaching these young kids up, these young guys up. And Harrison Barnes there for leadership and all the things you need from a veteran. And I wish, though, I wanted to see they held Wemby out. Wanted to see them against the Nuggets, to see him against the Joker. But the Spurs, can they defy the odds and make some major noise? A lot of the experts I'm listening to and the pundits, those who I read, those who I have a chance to meet and cover the league with, some have projected Wemby to be the best player in the league already. I'm like, yo, let me slow down. He just jumped over everybody. But it'll be those same commentators if Wemby and the Spurs lay an egg in the first series and don't come out and victorious. They'll be the same ones critiquing and saying some of the same things I'm saying right now. We don't allow in our NBA watching culture today young players to evolve. The thing about Shea and OKC, because they're in OKC, they were allowed to grow and develop and have their talents cultivated without the spotlight. And Victor has all the spotlight, and now he has some immediate success. So people are really accelerating the expectations that they have for them. I think they're a year or two ahead of time. We still have to see, can Victor hold up physically in the series? We still have to see, can he hit those same shots in a playoff series where everyone's zeroing in on your strengths and trying to expose your weaknesses. I saw that 2 years ago with OKC playing the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks had a little bit more experience, especially with a champion going against Kyrie Irving and people. One of the greatest duos we've never fully got to see was Kyrie and Luka. I didn't think it could work, but that training camp 2 years ago and working together, and Luka already said his favorite teammate to play with of all time is Kyrie. They could have did something special, but we know what happened with that. But OKC had more talent in that team, and they had more youth, more athleticism, but they just didn't have the experience. And losing that series 4-2 when they had a better record than the Mavericks propelled them to handle all those tight series that they had to go through to win the championship last year. And I'm, for one, I think you got to go through the rigors of a series. Like we got to see Detroit on the East go through the rigors of a series and win some series before I would pick them over the Celtics, who we saw do that. And that's my thing with the Spurs. But people are saying they could do that. I'm not one of them. I don't know if the youth and athleticism alone can get you through a series against the Nuggets or the Rockets with Durant, even the Lakers with Goat James there, looking revived and refreshed. So that's another takeaway. Will the Spurs buck trends and tradition and really make a championship run? That remains to be seen for me. But I think the future's so bright for them that it's just a matter of time. With Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, De'Aaron Fox, All-Star. Look, they got the pieces there. And I interviewed now who's really making a good impact for the team, Carter Bryant. All that young talent they got down there. Luke Cornett, who hated on the Magic City Mondays that was going to take place today. And one of my favorites down there is Julian Champipple. He's a good player. So they got so much talent down there. I just think they're a year or two away from really establishing themselves as a force, because the regular season is not the playoffs. That was the third takeaway. Can the Spurs defy the odds in the history of the NBA and really make a finals run? Many of us had them like 6, maybe making a play in, maybe the playoffs, but though they about to be the number 1, 2 in the Western Conference. So maybe they'll just keep proving us wrong. I just need to see it. But don't look now. The LA Lakers are smoking. I know my boy Charles Barkley, I don't know, he must have lost a lot of money against the Lakers, but he has such vitriol against the Lakers. I don't know what's going on. I know back in the day, for my NBA fans, before he got traded to the Suns, Barkley was on his way to join Magic and the Lakers a year or two earlier. Trade didn't fall through. Do your Googles on that one. But I don't know what it is, but he mad because they won and everybody talking about the Lakers today. Oh, what a game. Another top 5 game of the year. It's amazing that the Nuggets have been a part of 2 of the best games in the year, but on the losing side. The Lakers are scorching hot. It seems like Luka and Reeves and LeBron hit another level, hit that button, and now they are looking like a real threat in the West. They're on a 5-game winning streak. Luka just had a 51-point masterclass against the Bulls. And Austin Reeves and him, since LeBron got injured and came back, have averaged about 30. And LeBron has morphed now into this almost 3-and-D 41-year-old point forward. Do you see that old man dive on that ground like he was Dennis Rodman? And as a man who's in his 40s, man, I felt that all in my chest. I said, man, he right about now, he getting all the ice. He's spending $1 million on his body on the off season. I know he spent about 750,000 of that last night after that. Yo, we cannot have him diving around like that. Somebody got to do that for him. But to see them clicking, and JJ Redick said they had a conversation and trying to fit in, and I think everything changed for them off of one play. They were down. I forget who they were playing. And remember, the play was drawn for Luka, and Luka hesitated and threw the ball to LeBron, who had a last-second heave. And I believe that moment there, that hesitation, because LeBron has deferred to Luka. He's even deferred to Reeves, but it's still, that's LeBron over there. But I think they finally straightened that out. But the only thing about the Lakers, they got a tough series coming up. I believe they play Houston tonight, the beginning of a baseball series. So they're playing once on Monday, then they'll play them again on Wednesday. And I'm one who thinks the Lakers, out of all those teams in the West, I think that's their most favorable matchup, because I don't think the Houston Rockets can score on the same level with the Lakers. In the series, man, you got to let Amon Thompson just shoot all those threes. All those guys, I'm doubling KD, letting everybody else score. See what happens. But getting back to the Lakers against the Nuggets, that was an incredible game to watch Austin Reeves pull off the greatest missed free throw, got it back, and my man Jones, I believe, that was sticking him. Oh, man, he had a rough night. He was on the losing end of, if I'm not mistaken, when SGA hit that game winner, but he definitely was on the losing end of getting scored on by Reeves, take it to overtime, and then Luka hit that Rashad Grove-esque fadeaway And Jamal Murray, they played great defense on him. It wasn't just him having a bad shooting night. We gotta give credit where credit is due. Lakers played some good defense on Murray. And shout out to us who suffered in our parlays, because I think Jamal Murray is the greatest player of all time against the Lakers. Since the bubble, he's been killing them. But he didn't have it last night. He didn't have it on Saturday night, and messed up a lot of parlays. But we'll talk about that some other time. But the Lakers are looking very good. This is a tough stretch for them next couple of games, and we'll see where they land. But they beat the Knicks, they handled the Timberwolves, and they beat the Nuggets. And a lot of people have the Knicks coming out of the East, or at least in the top 3 teams. The Timberwolves handed the Lakers their last year, and have been in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 seasons. And we know about the championship pedigree of Nuggets. So you can't take away these strong wins they have, very solid wins. And so the Lakers finally have really leaned into a pecking order, if you please, where we have Luka and Reeves and LeBron. And LeBron, I would love to hear him speak about this, how making this transition, really still being LeBron and still being a top player in the league, but being the third wheel, and how that has elevated the team and maybe even extended his career even more, really being but my major concern with the Lakers is not some of their defensive capabilities. They're a very small team with LeBron at the 4. When you look at some of the other teams like the Nuggets, taller team, Aaron Gordon, who's playing incredible since he got put back on the team. Cam Johnson, they got Valanciunas, of course they got Joker. Even without Steven Adams, the Rockets is still a large team with they can throw Şengün at you, and DeAndre Ayton's favorite player, Clint Capella. It's still a smaller team, and also a 41-year-old man is still your most athletic wing, which is insane. So when it comes to playing defense, LeBron still would have to muscle up the energy as a 41-year-old man to try to guard the best wing in a series. Hopefully Hachimura and Vanderbilt, that's a major hole for me. They need an athletic wing, consistently 3-and-D guy that can relieve some of that pressure, because Reeves and Doncic are not the best defensive players. Lastly, there's some major news dropped today. I saw that the NBA will be voting on expanding the league. It's at 32 teams now, if I'm not mistaken. And the cities they're voting on are Las Vegas and Seattle. And Seattle, which deserves a team, is one of the great sports cities in America. I remember the vibe of watching Gary Payton and Sean Kemp playing at Key West Arena with Eddie Johnson. Then back in the 80s, when I was a kid, the Jack Sikmas of the world, and watching Derek McKee and all those guys, Detlef Schrempf. They had such a great culture there, and they won the championship in 1979 with Sikma, Dennis Johnson, downtown Freddie Brown, Gus Williams. Got to know your basketball history. But they are a significant sports town. With the Seattle Mariners, my favorite player of all time, along with Ricky Henderson, is Ken Griffey Jr. So when I wasn't cheering on the Phillies, I was definitely cheering on the Seattle Mariners. And the Seahawks just won a Super Bowl and have a couple chips under their belt. So it would be good to see Seattle get a franchise back. And after having that transition take place, leaving from Seattle to becoming the Oklahoma City Thunder. Las Vegas, we got a lot of sports gambling issues. I don't know if this is going to exacerbate it. I don't know what it's going to do. But Las Vegas is ideal for in the new NBA team, the new expansion team. We'll see what those votes look like. But Summer League is in Las Vegas. It's a major hub now with the Las Vegas Raiders and the Aces, who are a dynasty in the WNBA. Las Vegas is an obvious choice for uh, a new team. I was on the last Love of the Game podcast with my boy Ray. Shout out to him. And we were talking about other cities that deserve teams. I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if a city like Baltimore, St. Louis, they suggested, Baltimore Bullets, and even though they're DC, Baltimore is such a great sports town, and other cities out there that would be great towns and cities to support an NBA team. There's Baltimore. There is they suggested St. Louis, fantastic sports town, especially for my baseball lovers. And there's so many other towns, Midwest going west, that could be great picks. But the league will be voting on Las Vegas and Seattle for new NBA teams, which should be exciting because I would love to go to Vegas and hang out and watch some basketball, WNBA game, to catch an NBA game as well. So holla at me, those who want to send me out there. But this concludes the latest episode of the Rashad Grove Show. Make sure you follow me on all your social media platforms at The Groveness. Subscribe, like, follow, comment, and share. And we'll see you on Friday for our interview series. Rashad Grove Show. You're welcome.